Welcome to Gooseberry Science and Education videos. I'm your host, Alex. Now, I should mention right off the bat, I am an AI. But don't worry, the information in this explainer is factually accurate and entirely based on rigorously vetted human-written sources. We're just using AI as a tool to create better videos instead of relying on manual editing. You'll also be seeing our channel's orange gooseberry mascot popping up to help us unpack things today. Anyway, we've got an absolutely crucial topic lined up. We're going to explore the modern neuroscience behind our joy, our burnout, and literally everything in between. It's called the dopamine trap and how we restore the balance. So, let's just dive right in.
We're going to start with a pretty startling paradox of our time. Think about our current reality for a second. We live in an era of unprecedented wealth and just boundless freedom. I mean, we've got limitless entertainment at our fingertips, any food we could possibly want delivered to our doors, and comforts that previous generations literally couldn't even fathom. But alongside all this incredible abundance, rates of depression and anxiety have absolutely skyrocketed. It's wild, right? How is it that we've never been more comfortable, yet collectively we've kind of never felt so terrible?
That brings us to Section 1, the modern happiness paradox.
To really understand this mystery, we kind of have to examine the crime scene of modern life. It's a place where our basic needs are completely met, but man, we still feel utterly drained. It's like the ultimate question of the modern era, isn't it? Why does having so much convenience leave us with brain fog, burnout, and this unexplainable sense of misery? Why does getting everything we want somehow leave us feeling totally empty? We're constantly told that more is better. You know the drill. More money, more comfort, more likes, another season to binge watch. But the reality playing out inside our brains tells a completely different story. The truth is, we're overfed but undernourished, and highly stimulated but weirdly completely numb.
Let's move on to Section 2, the pleasure-pain seesaw.
So the answer to this whole paradox actually lies deep inside our neuroscience, specifically in how our brains process the things we enjoy. There's this biological concept called homeostasis, and what it shows us is absolutely fascinating. The exact same parts of our brain that process pleasure are the exact same parts that process pain. They act together as a single interconnected system. Neurologically speaking, pleasure and pain aren't like two distant departments in your mind. They share the exact same neural real estate. Your brain is this master regulator, and its number one goal is to keep you in a state of stable balance. It doesn't want you too high, doesn't want you too low. It's constantly actively fighting to bring you right back to neutral. To really visualize this, I want you to imagine a literal seesaw inside your head, just a delicate scale that's desperately trying to stay perfectly level. When you experience something pleasurable, the seesaw tips to one side. Experience something painful or difficult, it tips to the other. Now, in a natural environment, this system works flawlessly. It just gently sways back and forth. But, as we all know, our modern world is anything but natural.
Our brains simply haven't evolved to handle modern abundance. When we consume high-reward stimuli, we're talking endless social media scrolling, highly processed junk food, back-to-back binge streaming, we aren't just gently tipping that scale anymore. No, we're dropping massive, heavy weights onto the pleasure side of that seesaw. We're literally slamming it down to the ground over and over again. These stimuli are engineered to give us massive dopamine spikes that our ancient hunter-gatherer brains were just never designed to process all at once.
Which leads perfectly into Section 3. Gremlins and dopamine depletion.
Here's the catch. Your brain cannot survive off balance forever. And that brings us to the fascinating but honestly somewhat terrifying way it defends itself. To fight back against that constant flood of rewards and those massive weights slamming the pleasure side, your brain aggressively down-regulates its own dopamine receptors. It essentially reaches over and turns down the volume on your ability to feel pleasure. Because the stimulation is so overwhelmingly loud, the brain has to weaken its own pathways just to protect itself. This biological defense mechanism is called dopamine downregulation. And guys, it is the hidden engine driving our modern burnout. A really great way to think of this downregulation is like an invasion of tiny gremlins. Imagine these little gremlins hopping rapidly onto the pain side of your mental seesaw. They're doing this to violently counteract the heavy weight of those modern pleasures you keep dropping on the other side. And here's the kicker. The heavier the pleasure weights you drop, the more gremlins multiply and jump on the pain side to force that seesaw back to level. But the real problem? These gremlins don't just hop off the moment the pleasure stops. Oh no, they stay right there. So the absolutely crucial point here is that this whole adaptation actually forces you into a state of underlying anxiety. As the quote goes, the brain adapts by tipping the scale toward pain, leaving us anxious and craving more just to feel normal. Because those gremlins are weighing down the pain side, your brand new normal is actually a state of deficit.
You have to keep scrolling, keep eating the junk food, keep seeking those distractions, not to feel high, but literally just to reach a baseline of 0. You're continually feeding the dopamine trap just to keep the pain at bay.
By constantly bombarding these reward pathways day after day, year after year, the gremlins essentially take over. And this leads directly to severe dopamine depletion. I mean, have you ever felt like you've just lost your absolute zest for life? Like the color has just been drained right out of the world and nothing excites you anymore? Well, that is the physical reality of a brain completely swamped by gremlins. Your mental seesaw is just jammed on the side of pain and apathy.
But there's good news, which we'll cover in Section 4, the power of intentional pain. Fortunately, neuroscience doesn't just diagnose the problem for us, it provides a highly actionable, albeit counterintuitive solution to kick those gremlins right off the seesaw. To reclaim your balance, there are 2 vital steps. Step 1, execute a dopamine fast. You have got to stop dropping those massive weights on the pleasure side. That means removing those high-reward artificial stimuli for a period of time. But just removing pleasure isn't enough on its own. Step 2 requires you to actively introduce physical stressors to tip the scale yourself. You literally have to invite discomfort in on purpose.
This brilliantly illustrates the cure. By intentionally pursuing discomfort, you take back control of the mechanism. I'm talking about taking a freezing cold shower, or engaging in a grueling, sweat-inducing workout, or even just forcing yourself to focus deeply on a really challenging, frustrating task. When you willingly press down on the pain side of the seesaw yourself, you trigger the brain's homeostatic mechanisms in reverse. Instead of gremlins jumping on the pain side to fight pleasure, your brain brings in reinforcements on the pleasure side to fight the pain. It's a real game changer.
When you willingly take on that pain, your brain responds by releasing a slow, enduring wave of pleasure to restore your natural balance. Now, unlike those cheap, spiky dopamine hits you get from a smartphone, the ones that inevitably crash and leave you feeling empty, the dopamine released after enduring a difficult workout or an ice bath is sustained. It's stable. It actually resets your baseline happiness upward. It effectively clears the gremlins away and leaves you with a restored, healthy capacity for genuine joy.
So, I want you to ask yourself a massive question. What modern comfort will you sacrifice today to reclaim your happiness tomorrow? Will it be finally putting down the phone, taking that cold shower, maybe going for a run when you'd much rather sit on the couch? Think about how you can reset your own seesaw by inviting in just a little bit of productive pain. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the content.